Hey guys, with the introduction of Gen 2 Thermoformed pickleball paddles, paddle prices have been growing higher and higher because of the different costs associated with the manufacturing process. But in this video, I did want to cover some of the paddle brands out there that manage to provide these thermoform paddles at an affordable price point. Also, stay tuned to the end of this video to learn how to enter the giveaway where you can win one of the paddles on this list. Before we get started, here's a quick overview of what Gen 2 thermoform paddles are to those of you who may be unfamiliar. These are paddles that are wrapped in a carbon fiber seam and heated in a mold for an extended period of time, which is different from the older Gen 1 process where the paddle faces are just glued onto the honeycomb core without any heat. The resulting process for the Gen 2 manufacturing is more power, a stiffer paddle surface, increased durability from the construction, and a larger sweet spot from the addition of foam in the perimeter under the carbon fiber seam of the edge guard to provide perimeter weighting. Now let's take a look at which of these companies are managing to provide these paddles at a low price point, and stay tuned to the end of this video for details on our paddle giveaway. Let's start with Neonic, who as far as I know were the first company to release a thermoform paddle under $100. They came out with the Force, which is a rectangular elongated paddle with a 5.3-inch handle. A very solid option that has a lower swing weight for an elongated paddle at around 117 and a bit more pop compared to some of the others. They also recently came out with the Flow, which is a new hybrid shaped paddle that's probably the softest feeling thermal on the market right now, which is also priced very affordably at $120. Next up, let's look at Triple J, who recently just dropped the price of all their paddles from $120 to $100. They have 3 paddles in their lineup: the elongated Judge, the Aero Curve Judah, and the elongated 14mm Jaking. All 3 options are very solid, and you can't go wrong with any of them. But like I said in my review, I think the Judah and Jaking stand out the most. The Judah reminds me of the Hyperion C2, while the Jaking is like the Carbon 1X 14mm, but all are at a much cheaper price point. Most recently, they also released an Aramid version of the Jaking paddle at the $120 price point, making it the cheapest Aramid paddle on the market right now. Another company who also recently dropped their prices down is 11624 with their YSF paddle. They originally were the cheapest thermoform for a while when they came out at the $120 price point, but following suit with other companies, they've gone to the $100 price point. It's a good paddle too, and in my review, I think the YSF reminded me a lot of the Vatic Pro V7, but at a lower price point. Next up is Spartus, who was one of the original brands out there that was responsible for dropping Gen 1 paddles to an affordable price point with their first paddle, the Gladius. They've now become one of the affordable Gen 2 paddle brands with the Gladius Centurion, which is at the $100 price point. This is also elongated like several of the other paddles listed above, but it does have a 5.5-inch handle. I would describe it as a lighter Carbon 1X, so it has a lower swing weight and also a little bit less power, but overall it's a great all-court paddle that leans towards power. Pickln is a company that reached out to me to do a comparison between their first paddle, the Helios, and the Yola Perseus, because they actually use the same factory as Yola and Selkirk. They have 2 paddles priced at the $100 price point, the aforementioned Helios and the Picnics Pro. The Helios I found performed a bit better than the Perseus, and I think plays pretty similar to the Spartus Centurion actually. As for the Picnics Pro, this is one of the 2 standard shaped paddles on this list, and it plays very similar to the wide body Carbon 2X. It's definitely a great option for someone looking for a paddle with a shorter handle length. For the other standard shaped paddle on this list, we have the Sword&Shield J3 from the Honolulu Pickleball company. This one is different from the Picnics Pro since it has a longer handle and is more similar to the Colin John's 16mm Yola Scorpius. The J3 retails for around the $140 price point, but with discount codes, this drops down to around $130. The Honolulu Pickleball company also has the J2, which is a hybrid paddle that has the same dimensions as its double black diamond. Lately, they've been running a sale on the J2 to be under $100, which is a really good deal for how the paddle plays. Hudef is another brand that has both affordable Gen 1 and Gen 2 paddles. For their Gen 2 paddles, there are 2 I'd like to highlight. First is the Viva Pro Gen 2, which retails for $120 and I think plays exactly like the Carbon 1X 16mm, but at almost half the price. The second is the Mage Pro, which retails for $99. This is also elongated, but this one has a rounded top, so it's more maneuverable and lighter than the Vivo Pro Gen 2, but has less power. Both are very solid options, and also, out of all the paddle brands on this list, Hudef also gives the most discounts when using a code at checkout. And the last paddle brand we're going to look at is Aiso, which is a fairly new brand that came out with the Centric. This is another hybrid shaped paddle on this list with a curved top, and the length is under 16.5 at 16.4 inches. Out of all the options here, it's one of the most plush feeling paddles, just behind the Neonic Flow. It's a very solid all-court paddle, and I personally think it plays a bit similar to the Proline Energy S, but with a softer feel. It also comes in at a very affordable price point at $100. So there you have it. There's my list of budget thermoform paddle companies if you were looking to pick up a Gen 2 paddle at a lower price. Now this isn't meant to knock on any of the pricier brands out there at all, because those brands do have higher overhead costs like R&D, marketing, and sponsorships that these smaller brands may not have to deal with. But if you are a player on a budget that is looking for a thermoform paddle, any of the above paddles on this list are a great place to start. If you do want to pick any of these paddles up, I've added links as well as my discount code, which will drop the price for all the paddles on this list. Now we will be doing a paddle giveaway where one lucky winner can win a brand new Neonic Force. To enter, like this video, comment down below, and also send me a DM on Instagram with a favorite paddle on this list, or if there's a paddle you think I should have added.